3 COVID-19 related deaths and 78 new cases recorded on the island in the last 24 hours. Minister of Health Dr. Christopher Tufton toured Cornwall courts in St. James earlier today.
To have that level of positivity is concerning and justifies the reason why we are here and why the restrictions have to be imposed.
Still tonight, the Bustamante Hospital for Children receives equipment worth $21 million.
Ministry of Health and Wellness is committed in realizing a public health system that delivers on the ambition of Jamaica's 2030 National Development Plan.
And PNP presidential hopeful Mark Golding expresses his readiness to serve the people of the party and Jamaica.
My destiny has always been to serve the people of Jamaica, and once I was able to step back a little bit from the law and the business and go into the politics, that has been my mission, comrades.
Good evening. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has reported 3 additional COVID-19 related deaths and 78 new cases were recorded across the island in the last 24 hours. The deceased are an 86-year-old female from Clarendon, an 83-year-old female from St. Catherine, and a 41-year-old female from St. James. The death of the 86-year-old female was previously under investigation. The latest fatalities takes the death toll from COVID-19 in Jamaica to 205. The 78 newly confirmed COVID-19 cases takes the total of cases on record for the island to 9,005. Recoveries increased by 13 yesterday, taking the total of recovered persons to 4,442. Now, of the newly confirmed cases, 43 are males and 35 are females, ranging in age from 5 to 89 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew with 29 cases, Westmoreland 14 cases, St. James recorded 13 cases, St. Mary recorded 11, Clarendon and St. Catherine recorded 3 cases each, St. Anne recorded 2, and Manchester, Trelawney and Portland recorded 1 case each. There are 14 moderately ill patients and 3 critically ill patients among the 4,237 active cases now under observation in Jamaica. In the meantime, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton toured the community of Cornwall Courts in St. James earlier today and gave an update on the COVID-19 cases in that community. More on this story with Tamara Mikhail.
Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton, along with a team from the Western Regional Health Authority and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, toured the community of Cornwall Courts in St. James that was placed under a special curfew due to a recent rise in COVID-19 cases earlier today. Dr. Tufton said so far the community has recorded 56 cases of COVID-19, with 31 persons already recovered from the virus.
This Cornwall Court quarantine was influenced by the concerns that we have. Now, this is a community, by way of context, that I'm told, based on my reading on the report, that you have some between 15 and 16,000 in a development that has seen 2 or 3 phases. So quite a number of houses, nearly 2,000 in the first case, another 500, and has commercial and all the other infrastructure and social institutions, churches and so on. And so there is a large population in the Cornwall Court area, certainly as it relates to the borders that we have mapped out that have become the quarantine zone, so between 15 and 16,000. Again, the rain created a challenge for us, but we have had 56 cases in the area with 31 recoveries and 24 that are active cases and 1 death, 1 unfortunate death. Now the challenge, the concern I have, and we have, is that the one day that we have collected samples from, I am told, 92 residents, and we have interacted so far, I'm told, with some 444 houses, right, residential units. About 750 persons were interviewed, and the team goes in, they conduct interviews, they get vital statistics, your temperature checks, that sort of thing, and that's done for an important reason, to assess your risk and to determine if they need to do more. While they're doing that, they advise you as to some of the measures that you need to take. And I want to use the opportunity to encourage the community to respond to the team positively, because they're there for you.
Dr. Tufton also expressed his concerns with recent samples tested during the quarantine.
Most concerning to me is that of the 92 samples or swab samples that were collected, 14 are positive. And that explains why we are in Cornwall Court, because that is close to what, a 20% or so positivity rate. It means that for every 100 person, if you follow that through logically, probably 20 or so may have COVID. To have that level of positivity is concerning and justifies the reason why we are here and why the restrictions have to be imposed. Because it's not difficult, if we are complacent, for a 20% positivity to increase to a 30 and 40. And we have had in community transmission nationally up to a 30 plus positivity. The last week or so we have seen positivity rates that are 8%, 12%, 14%. So you're literally at this rate, based on the numbers that have been given anyway, you are above the national average currently. And again, that's a justification for why we are here.
Minister Tufton further outlined that door-to-door testing will continue in the community.
So what we're hoping to do in the community in the days ahead is to move around. I'm told there are about 25 members of the team here today. Tomorrow I'm told you'll go up to about 70, because we'll move resources in and they'll do house to house, and the testing sites will be there, so persons who think they need to be tested for whatever reason, whether they feel they have been exposed or they have symptoms, please visit one of those sites or indicate to the team, and we will come in and they'll ask the relevant questions and they will make their decisions from there. But right now, it's important that we recognize that there is a risk in the community, as there is in Jamaica. And you are special because you're getting more than your fair share of public health members who are in the community to work, to carry out the response. The team will also do some mass, maybe distribution to the extent that they have it, and some sanitizers and so on. But I urge citizens to make the effort to get their own as an investment in themselves, because the truth is the government doesn't have a mask and sanitizer to give the entire country. We need to consider the mask and the sanitizer an essential part of life, at least for now, during this COVID pandemic, because it's going to be important.
For Mello TV News, I am Tamar McHale.
Meanwhile, during a meeting held earlier today with taxi operators in Cornwall courts, a representative from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, made an appeal to taxi operators to adhere to the COVID-19 measure of carrying one less passenger, as this can slow the spread of the virus and save a life.
They are concerned that you are not ensuring that the commuters wear their masks. They are complaining that you are not carrying the right amount of persons in the vehicle and you're overcrowding. Now we are asking you to desist and to obey those protocols. They are blaming the police, and the police are not taking enough action. So that means that we are going to take more action. So I'm asking you to prevent us from taking more actions. So please be responsible, because if you play your part, everybody play your part. As the doctor would have said, that success surely will be at the end of this activity. Please, it's a serious activity, it means lives. Life can be lost. So I'm asking you, taxi driver, obey and abide by the rules.
Now, one taxi operator, in speaking with our news team, said he has no issue adhering to the measures put in place by the government.
And my opinion pertaining to the COVID-19, a lot of persons are being naive to it. They breach the policies and they keep pointing fingers at others instead of pointing it at themselves. As you see, we have a discussion about one less passenger. We don't have a problem complying with one less passenger. But no care how much one less you carry in your vehicle, they want you to carry less just the same. And as far as I'm concerned, it is impossible to have social distance in a taxi. Because no care how you put it, you won't achieve social distance. And you will be still exposed to this virus. And I've not seen anything major to it because most persons stop traveling, most of our persons are working from home, so we are already low on passengers. So therefore, for all that the running around that is being said and done right now, it's hard for anyone to really keep social distance in a taxi.
Still making news tonight, the Bustamante Hospital for Children received equipment worth $21 million earlier today. More on this story with Ophelia Miller.
The Rotary Club of Kingston and Camrose officially handed over $21 million worth of equipment to the Bustamante Hospital for Children earlier today. Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, said this type of donation exemplifies the determination and patriotism by the donors.
The Rotary Clubs of Kingston and Camrose, after being made aware of the hospital's need for these equipment, pulled out all the stops, as we heard a while ago, to make this handover a reality. They had a fundraising drive, which included local gov tournaments. They made application to the Rotary District 5370, Government of Ontario, and the Federal Government of Canada, in addition to solicited support from the Rotary International Foundation. An exemplary demonstration of determination and patriotism for which we are deeply grateful. Of course, I couldn't stand here today and not acknowledge the prowess of the staff, both clinical administrative here at the Bustamante Hospital, who go beyond the call of duty, especially in this time of our pandemic, to ensure the best possible health outcomes for our Jamaican and Caribbean children who need to access this facility. I must also acknowledge the board members at the regional and hospital level who help to provide strategic direction for this facility. In addition to the support from our partners,
Mrs. Cuthbert Flynn also expressed the commitment of the government to a healthcare system that ensures quality services for the people of Jamaica.
The government of Jamaica, through the Ministry of Health and Wellness, is committed in realizing a public health system that delivers on the ambition of Jamaica's 2030 National Development Plan to ensure the provision of quality health services and promote healthy lifestyle and environmental practices as we strive to attain and sustain a healthy people and a healthy environment. We have projected to invest in Jamaica's public health system over the next 5 years, extraordinary capital expenditure between US $205.7 and US $236.2 million, which is 27.2 and 31.2 billion Jamaican dollars. This, of course, is the largest commitment by a government in public health infrastructure in over 20 years.
President of the Rotary Club of Kingston, Alva Wood, said he's confident that these equipment will provide positive assistance to the hospital in continuing excellent medical response.
The Rotary Club of Kingston and the Rotary Club of Camrose in Alberta, Canada, are extremely pleased to be officially presenting to the Bustamante Hospital for Children over $21 million worth of medical equipment consisting of incubators, monitors, and infusion pumps. Many parents in Jamaica depend on the excellent medical care that this institution provides to their children. I personally experienced this care 53 years ago when I was admitted to the hospital for 3 weeks and benefited from the medical equipment that was there at the time. I am confident that the new equipment will positively assist the hospital in continuation of excellent medical response and quality care for the children of Jamaica. The Rotary Club of Camrose, Canada and the Rotary Club of Kingston are grateful to the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Board of the Bustamante Hospital for Children for allowing us to open this door of opportunity which will impact families all across Jamaica.
Pediatrician at the hospital, Dr. Deborah Hall Parkinson, shared how important these equipment will be to the care of babies at the hospital.
In terms of optimizing the care for these ill babies, this equipment is extremely important. The incubators to provide warmth for these babies, protect them against infection, because of course these babies, these premature babies especially, are at risk for infection. The infusion pumps, because we have to be really precise with the delivery of nutrition, medication, fluids, right, for safe administration. So, and the monitors, extremely important, sometimes a matter of life and death, right, so that we can be alerted to take action if these babies are deteriorating. So it's extremely important in optimizing patient care and reducing the morbidity and the mortality of our patients. Preparation is key. So we're just happy that we have this equipment so that we can act quickly if necessary.
I'm Ophelia Mello, reporting for Mello TV News.
Still making news tonight, People's National Party PNP presidential candidate Lisa Hanna has reiterated her support for the National Workers' Union NWU, saying comments in the media on issues regarding its delegates list do not accurately reflect her position or the position of her campaign on the importance of the union in advancing the cause of the Jamaican working class. Now, in a statement this morning, Ms. Hanna said the request of her campaign for transparency in the submission of names for the list was neither anti-union nor an attack on the union. Comments by spokesmen in the media are therefore misleading and false. Ms. Hanna said all arms and affiliates of the party have criteria and qualifications for delegate selection. Now, the statement further outlined that the issues raised by her campaign chairman, Senator Donna Scott Motley, regarding the list were pending. The submission of proof that the delegates are union members based upon the traditional rules governing the accreditation of delegate status. She said that the objection was not hostile, but an attempt at clarity, which is in keeping with the campaign's verification exercise of all the delegates. Now, in her letter to the General Secretary, Mr. Julian Robinson, Senator Scott Motley said she asked for a list of NWU members as filed with the registrar in accordance with Section 16(1)(d) of the Trade Union Act. Ms. Hanna said she wanted to use the opportunity to assure the trade union movement in general and the NWU in particular of her full support for the workers within the organization, their importance to the progress of the working class movement, and their work in modernizing and reforming the Jamaican labor markets. In the meantime, People's National Party PNP presidential hopeful Mark Golding expressed his readiness to serve the people of the party and Jamaica. More on this story
People's
with
National
Colleen
Party
May.
PNP presidential candidate Mark Golding says he was destined to serve the people of Jamaica.
My destiny has always been to serve the people of Jamaica. And once I was able to step back a little bit from the law and the business and go into the politics, that has been my mission, comrades. In the last PNP government, I was in charge of the legislative agenda. I was the person who was, Sister P, made responsible for ensuring that every IMF test was passed, because we had a lot of legislation that we had to pass to reform the economy, reform the tax system, and other things. And we delivered every single one on time, comrade. And I worked closely with Dr. Phillips to achieve that. We wanted to do more, but the economics was just not there to do as much as we would like. We set the thing, which is why now, well, up until COVID leak, the government had a lot more money to spend because we fixed the tax system through the legislation that we passed and the other measures we put in place. And they inherited it. That is the cost to us of losing the 2016 election.
Mr. Golding, who was addressing comrades in a meeting last night in St. Andrew, outlined the legislation that was passed by then Portia Simpson Miller-led PNP government, which he said the now Jamaica Labour Party government that took over since 2016 have not done well to provide opportunity to small cannabis farmers.
When I was growing up, I see youth get enough tribulation over ganja. Enough youth get arrested or harassed by police, end up without fine, go up on them record. Them go embassy, them can't get a visa. Them can't work in the government system because you can't have a criminal record if you work for government in Jamaica. And Barack Obama was the president and I was Minister of Justice in Jamaica. And see how he move and I say, yeah, the gate are open liquor. I'm going to run through that gate there. And we just design the legislation carefully, comrades. And we decriminalize personal use. So a person can't get arrested, can't get charged, prosecuted, or a criminal record for having a ganja split or a jar of weed. And thousands of youths, thousands of Jamaicans had their criminal records expunged as a result of that legislation, comrades, and them can travel or them can get a work. And that legislation also recognized Rastafari for the first time in any law in Jamaica. Gave them the right to grow them ganja on designated lands and use it for them sacramental purposes. And it also created a new industry in medical cannabis. But the Labour right take it now since 2016 and them don't understand it and they're not dealing with it the right way. Because that should have been a vehicle for small farmers to get into the ganja business, the legal ganja business. Same farmers who have been running from police and soldier for years and years and years and they built the brand, Jamaica's brand for ganja. But they are not involved because the barriers to entry are too high. We have to go fix that when we take back state power in the country.
Mr. Golding further outlined his strategies that he will use if elected as the next PNP leader to get the party back on track and then the country.
The PNP must strengthen the organization. We have to raise funds sufficiently to run our organizational arrangements properly. Sister P brought me into the Senate in 2007 and 2 years later she made me treasurer of the party. And we set the thing the right way. For the first time, we put proper accounting systems in place in PNP headquarters. And we got the accounting system up and running. We brought in auditors and we produced audited financial statements. For the first time, any political party in Jamaica did that. And then we published them on our website. And comrades, the private sector saw what we were doing and said, yes, the PNP understands governance, good governance and transparency. And them support we in the 2011 campaign. And we ran a strong campaign. And we win 42 seats and take back power. I am tried and tested when it comes to delivering on that score. And I look forward as the president of the party to helping the treasurer and helping the finance committee to raise the funds that we need. It's not going to be easy because we have so few MPs. And the MPs have always contributed to the party through salary deduction. So when you have less, you get less money. Councillors too. So coming not won't be easy, but it means the party leader has to be able to do that effectively. We have a democratic socialist tradition. That is where we are coming from. But we need to define what that means now, redefine it, and we need to identify the policies and programs that are which are consistent with our beliefs in equality of opportunity, equality of access to opportunity, and social justice, the pursuit of social justice, righting all the things in the society that are unfair and wrong and discriminatory. That is what the PNP is about.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Killeen May.
In news from the capital, a woman who was asleep as fire engulfed her home in the Kingston Gardens community yesterday evening was rescued by a fruit vendor who is being hailed as a hero. Michael Henry, a resident of Almond Town, was just about finished packing up his stall for the evening when the brother of the young woman, Jody Ann Moncrief, came running for help. He said by then the fire had completely engulfed the front of the house, leaving her trapped near the back where the doors were locked. Now, quick thinking led the 33-year-old Henry to kick one of the doors from its hinges, enabling him to lead Moncrief out and over a wall. She was a bit shaken, however, she was not seriously injured. In other news tonight, the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has advised that due to inclement weather conditions, residents will see further delays in their garbage and recycling collection island-wide over the next week. Executive Director of the NSWMA, Mr. Audley Gordon, says the prevailing weather conditions have caused severe setbacks in the operations of the authority, as well as challenging conditions at disposal facilities across the island, resulting in increased vehicle turnaround times. In the SPM region that covers Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth, a temporary emergency cell has been opened to accommodate disposal. To further reduce delays, the NSWMA is encouraging householders to properly bag and secure their garbage as the authority navigates this challenging period. Residents are also being encouraged to visit their website at www.nswma.gov.jm for updates or by calling toll-free 1-888-CLEAN-JA. That's 1-888-253-2652-30. In the meantime, the KSAMC carried out a removal operation of illegal vehicles in Kingston following numerous complaints they received from residents. More on this story with Colleen May.
The Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, in its enforcement drive to rid the municipality of illegal roadside garages, vehicles for sale on sidewalks, and derelict vehicles, has commenced a removal operation yesterday. Municipal Police Commandant for the KSAMC, Dwayne Anderson, explained that this latest move was commissioned due to overwhelming complaints from the public.
These illegal roadside garages and vehicles parked on sidewalks and derelict vehicles has become of overwhelming nuisance to the general public. To date, the ongoing operation that has commenced for over 6 weeks has resulted in 300 vehicles removed and impounded at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Pound. We are asking our lovely citizens who would have braved the culture of informer to keep on sending these reports to us and complaints as we assiduously answer to these calls. We continue to serve the municipality with efficiency and effectiveness and to ensure that when your complaints are made, we answer to these calls. We will issue a warning to several areas that we intend to do these operations, such as Jewsland, that's in the Waterhouse area, Russell Road, Churchill Avenue, Carpenter Road, just to name a few, to get your house in order, because if you do not, we are going to impound the vehicles and you will have to pay for them.
Mr. Anderson also outlined several observations made since the operation has commissioned.
Since we have been conducting this operation, we have made several observations. One, the vehicles parked on the roadside are becoming hazards and are hazard to other motorists or pedestrians. Two, when these vehicles are parked for a number of months or years, they accumulate a lot of debris underneath them. These debris are normally that block the drainage system and cause flooding across the municipality. Also, the impaired persons that traverse on our streets are highly inconvenient, because when vehicles are parked for sales on the on the sidewalks, they normally impede the impaired persons who have to suffer because of persons who do not comply with the order of the municipal police.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Still making news tonight, the Transport Authority says it is extending the deadline for the submission of police records for new applicants until December 31, 2020. Now, the extension of the deadline for the police record requirement, the Transport Authority says, is to facilitate the appointment system now being utilized at the Criminal Records Department. As such, persons who are desirous of accessing any of 80 reopened taxi routes across the island will have 6 additional weeks to submit the police records after the November 20, 2020 closing date for the offer. In the meantime, the Transport Authority is urging persons operating public transportation services without the requisite road licenses to ensure that they legalize their services now to avoid prosecution. The Transport Authority says it will not accept liability for any loss or injury caused to those who do not utilize the official channels of the authority for doing business. If in doubt, prospective applicants should contact them at 1-888-991-5683. And those were the stories making news. I return with a recap. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.